The choice you must make. Let me tell you something most people never want to hear. You can't have everything. Not because you don't deserve it, but because real life doesn't work that way. The truth is simple, yet it scares many. Every goal, every dream, every result you want in life comes with a price. And no matter how clever, rich, or lucky you are, you still have to pay. The real question isn't whether you'll sacrifice something. It's what you'll sacrifice. Will you sacrifice time or comfort, money or ego? Will you sacrifice your evenings to learn? Will you sacrifice your pride to ask questions? Or will you sacrifice your dream itself because you're not willing to give up anything? This is what this video is about. The power of picking your damn sacrifice. Because when you pick consciously, you live with power. When you don't pick, life picks for you. And that's rarely what you want. So let's go deep together. Let's break this idea into chapters you can remember. And by the end, I hope you see why sacrifice isn't something to fear. It's something to choose boldly. Chapter 1. You can't escape the price. When we are young, we often fall in love with stories that tell us we can have it all. We see heroes in movies who somehow manage to get everything they want. Love, money, respect, power, and freedom. All without ever truly losing anything important. In these stories, sacrifice either never happens or it's shown as something quick and easy. One big moment of courage. And then everything works out perfectly. These stories feel good to watch because they tell us what we want to believe. They tell us that maybe, just maybe, life can give us everything without asking for anything back. But then, life teaches us something very different. Slowly, often painfully, we learn that the real world always asks for payment. It doesn't care about our feelings, our wishes, or our excuses. It demands a price for everything that matters. And this price is not always paid with money. Most of the time, it is paid with things like time, comfort, attention, energy, and sometimes even relationships. Imagine you want to become very strong and healthy. At first, this dream feels exciting. You imagine yourself with more energy, looking good in the mirror, and feeling proud of your progress. But then comes the question life asks you. What will you give me in return? And the price is clear. You must wake up earlier than you want, go to the gym when you'd rather stay in bed, and say no to unhealthy food that tastes good. You must spend hours training when you could be watching TV or hanging out with friends. If you don't pay that price, you will still pay, but in a different way. You will pay by being weak, often tired and unhappy with how you look and feel. That is the price of choosing comfort over effort. Or maybe you dream of being rich. Many people do. But this dream also comes with a price. The price might be years of hard work when no one else believes in you. It could be taking risks that scare you, learning skills that no one taught you in school, and sometimes failing while others are relaxing or having fun. You might have to give up weekends, late nights, or even some friendships that pull you away from your goal. But if you choose not to pay that price, you don't get to escape payment. Instead, you pay in another way. By always having just enough to get by worrying about bills, and by living with the regret of knowing you could have done more but didn't. In life, you must always pay. There is no magical shortcut, no secret trick to avoid it. The only real choice you have is what you are willing to pay for. Will you pay the price to get the life you want, or will you pay with regret later because you refused to make sacrifices when it mattered? It's hard to accept this truth, especially when the world keeps telling us that you can have it all. But deep inside, we all know it isn't true. Every time you say yes to something, you are always saying no to something else. You cannot say yes to staying up late watching videos and yes to waking up early to exercise. You cannot say yes to spending every evening with friends and yes to studying to build your skills. Every goal, Every big dream, every life-changing result comes to you like a merchant holding out their hand. And that merchant asks you, "What will you give me in return?" This is life's unbreakable rule. You can't escape the price. The only freedom you truly have is to decide which price you are willing to pay. And the sooner you understand this, the sooner you can start making choices that build the future you really want. Chapter 2. The Power of Consciously Choosing. There's something that separates people who succeed from those who keep wishing, hoping, and talking, but never get results. It isn't always talent, luck, or intelligence. Although those things can help, the real difference often lies in a quiet but powerful habit, consciously choosing what to sacrifice. Most people don't do this. They live reactively. They wake up and let the day decide what they will do. If they feel motivated, they might study, read, or work on their dream. If they don't feel motivated, they do nothing. They don't clearly decide what they are willing to give up each day to get closer to what they want. Instead, they hope everything will somehow fit together, and they will still reach their goal without missing out on anything else. But life never works like that. Imagine two students who both dream of speaking English fluently. On the outside, they seem similar. Both want the same goal. But look closer, and you'll see something different in how they treat sacrifice. The first student says, "I'll study when I feel like it." He might watch a few lessons when he's in the mood, but on other days, he scrolls through social media or watches funny videos instead. He hasn't decided what he'll give up, so by default, he sacrifices his goal instead. The second student takes a different path. He tells himself, "Every evening from 8 to 9 p.m., I'll study English. During that hour, I won't look at my phone, watch TV, or chat with friends. That is my price, and I'm willing to pay it." His choice is clear, simple, and strong. He doesn't wait for motivation. He builds a routine that doesn't ask how he feels in the moment. After a few months, who makes real progress? It isn't about which student is smarter. It isn't about who has better books or apps. It comes down to who picked their sacrifice consciously and stuck to it. The second student moves forward because he decided what he would give up and followed through, day after day. When you pick your sacrifice on purpose, it gives you unexpected strength. Suddenly, it feels like you are steering your own ship, not just floating wherever the wind blows. You stop saying things like, "I don't have time," because you realize time was never missing. It was just being spent somewhere else. You begin to say, "I choose to spend my time this way because this goal matters to me." That simple shift in mindset, from "I can't" to "I choose," makes all the difference. You stop feeling like a victim of your busy life. You feel like the creator of your life instead. Your day still has 24 hours, just like everyone else's. But now, you know exactly which part of your day is dedicated to your dream. This is why the words, "pick your damn sacrifice," are so powerful. They cut through excuses and confusion. They remind you that yes, you can't have everything, but you can decide what really matters to you. And when you do that, you take back control. Life will always demand payment for what you truly want. The question isn't whether you'll pay. It's whether you'll pay knowingly, proudly, and with a clear heart. Winners do. They look at what matters most and say, "This is worth it. I will pay this price every day because my dream is worth more than what I'm giving up." In the end, the power doesn't just come from sacrifice itself. The power comes from choosing that sacrifice yourself. And once you see how much stronger it makes you feel, you'll never want to live any other way. Chapter 3. Common Sacrifices and Why They're Worth It. If you look closely at the people who change their lives, build great skills, or create something meaningful, you'll notice they all have something in common. They have made sacrifices. But these sacrifices aren't always the huge, dramatic ones that movies show. Most of the time, they are quiet, everyday choices that slowly add up to something powerful. Let's look at 4 of the most common sacrifices people make, and why each one, though it feels hard at the start, often turns out to be worth far more than it costs. 1. Time. Time is perhaps the most obvious and universal sacrifice. Everyone wants to achieve big things, but very few are ready to trade their free time for practice, study, or work. Imagine wanting to write a book, build a business, or learn English fluently. None of these can be done in a single evening or weekend. They require hundreds of hours over weeks, months, and sometimes years. The first question life asks you is, what will you give up to make space for this work? Maybe it's less time scrolling through social media, fewer late-night shows, or skipping a few parties. This can feel like you're losing out on fun. But in truth, you're not losing time. You're investing it in something that can completely transform your life. Years from now, you won't remember the videos you skipped watching, but you will see the results of the time you invested in your growth. 2. Comfort. Comfort is incredibly tempting. It feels safe to stay where you are, to do what you already know. But the uncomfortable spaces in life are often where real progress happens. Speaking in a new language in front of people can feel terrifying. Asking questions in class when you don't fully understand something can feel embarrassing. But on the other side of that fear, something amazing happens. You grow. You gain experience, build confidence, and prove to yourself that you are braver than you thought. Sacrificing comfort doesn't mean living in pain forever. It means you're willing to face small moments of fear and discomfort now so that you can become stronger, wiser, and freer later. 3. Money. Many people hold on to money so tightly that it keeps them stuck. They hesitate to buy books, take courses, or pay for tools that could speed up their learning. But sometimes, money isn't just something to save. It's something to use. Think of money as fuel for your journey. Used carelessly, it burns quickly and gives you nothing. But used wisely, it can help you move forward faster. Paying for a class might save you months of confusion. Investing in better tools might make your work stronger. Of course, it's smart to spend carefully. But remember, being afraid to spend anything at all can keep you exactly where you are. 4. Ego. This might be the hardest sacrifice of all. The ego doesn't like to admit it doesn't know something. It wants to look smart, strong, and confident in front of others. But growth often requires the opposite. Admitting your weaknesses, asking for help, and listening to feedback, even when it hurts your pride. Your ego will whisper, "Don't look stupid, stay silent." But your future quietly answers, "Be humble and learn." When you sacrifice your ego, you gain wisdom, and wisdom is worth far more than pride. Over time, you'll realize that letting go of the need to look perfect was what truly made you better. Each of these sacrifices, time, comfort, money, and ego, feels difficult at first, but over and over, people discover something amazing. What they get in return is worth so much more. The discomfort and effort fade, but the progress, confidence, and freedom you earn stay with you for the rest of your life. And this is why choosing to sacrifice, instead of waiting to be forced by circumstances, can be one of the most powerful decisions you ever make. Chapter 4. What happens if you don't choose? It's easy to talk about sacrifice and choice, but what really happens if you don't make a choice at all? What if you keep waiting for the right time? Or you keep hoping you can have everything without giving anything up? At first, it might feel like nothing bad is happening. You're still comfortable, still doing the things you enjoy, and life seems to keep going. But slowly, almost silently, something painful starts to grow in the background. Regret. Imagine a man who has always dreamed of starting his own business. In his mind, he sees himself as an entrepreneur, building something important and living freely on his own terms. But when the day ends, he chooses not to sacrifice nights out with friends, weekend parties, or long hours spent relaxing in front of the TV. Each time he tells himself, "I'll start tomorrow," or "I can do it without giving up too much." But because he doesn't consciously choose what to sacrifice, his time and energy are already taken. He starts late, moves slowly, and keeps making excuses. The years pass, and though the dream remains in his heart, nothing real comes out of it. One day, he looks back and sees that while his friends moved forward, he is still at the starting line. His regret becomes heavy, and he realizes too late that the fun nights he never gave up cost him the life he truly wanted. Now think about someone who wishes to become fit and healthy. They know what they need to do. Exercise regularly, eat better, and cut down on junk food. But when it comes time to make choices, they say yes to comfort and taste every time. They keep telling themselves, just this once, or I'll be serious next month. Days become months, and months become years. Slowly, health problems begin to appear. Their body feels heavier, their energy drops, and everyday activities feel harder. In the end, they pay a price far greater than skipping a few sweets or waking up earlier. They pay with their health and their confidence, things that are very hard to get back once lost. The truth is simple and unkind. If you don't choose your sacrifice, life will choose it for you. And life rarely picks what you would have picked. Instead of choosing a short period of effort and discomfort, life hands you regret, lost potential, and weakness that lasts much longer. Regret is the worst price because it cannot be changed. You can't go back in time and make different choices. You can only look at what could have been and feel the weight of what was lost. What makes regret so painful is knowing deep down that it didn't have to be this way. The small sacrifices that felt too hard back then now seem so small compared to what was lost. Missing a few parties, waking up early, or saying no to junk food seems easy when you see what could have grown from those choices. So remember this, not choosing is also a choice, and it's usually the choice that hurts the most. The pain of discipline and sacrifice lasts for a moment, but the pain of regret can last a lifetime. It is always better to pick your damn sacrifice now, even if it feels hard and unfair, than to spend the rest of your life wishing you had. By choosing, you take back your power and give yourself the chance to build the life you truly want, instead of the life that simply happens to you. Chapter 5. Finding your sacrifice. Knowing that every dream comes with a price is one thing, but actually deciding what price you're willing to pay and then sticking to it is what truly changes your life. This part is where most people get stuck. They want the result, but feel lost when it comes to choosing what they'll sacrifice to get there. They hope that maybe, somehow, they can do it all without giving anything up. But growth doesn't work like that. To make real progress, you have to be honest, deliberate, and brave enough to choose. So, how do you find your sacrifice? Here's a simple but powerful method you can use. A method that helps turn your goal into something real instead of something that only lives in your mind. Step 1. Define your goal clearly. A vague goal like, I want to be better at English, won't guide your actions. Instead, make it specific and measurable. I want to speak English fluently within 1 year. This clear target will make it easier to see what actions and sacrifices you'll need to get there. It's like drawing a map. You need to know your destination before you plan your route. Step 2. Ask yourself, what will this cost me? This is the step most people skip because it feels uncomfortable. But it's the most important. Think honestly about what you need to give up or change. Maybe it's 1 hour a day that you currently spend scrolling on your phone or watching TV. Maybe it means paying for a language course or joining a speaking club, which could mean spending less on other hobbies. It could even mean facing the uncomfortable fear of speaking in front of others, knowing you might make mistakes. Write these sacrifices down clearly so you can see them in front of you. Step 3. Decide consciously. Now comes the real moment of power. You say to yourself, I accept this price. This is the point where the sacrifice becomes a choice, not a punishment forced on you by life. It changes the way you feel. Instead of thinking, I have to do this, you start to think, I'm choosing to do this because my goal matters to me. This choice feels strong, even if it's not always easy. Step 4. Remind yourself daily why it's worth it. Motivation fades with time, but clarity stays if you keep reminding yourself why you chose this sacrifice in the first place. Write it down. I'm sacrificing 1 hour every day to speak English well and open new doors in my life. Read this note every morning or every evening. Some people keep it on their desk or their phone screen. This daily reminder keeps your goal alive and makes it feel important even on days when you feel tired or distracted. When the cost is clear and accepted, your mind stops fighting so hard. Instead of feeling like you're being forced to give something up, you feel like a hero walking into a battle they chose. Aware of the danger but committed to the mission. You see the effort not as suffering, but as part of the path you chose to reach something that truly matters to you. Remember, finding your sacrifice isn't about punishing yourself. It's about making a conscious trade. Giving up something less important to get something far more meaningful. Once you see it this way, sacrifice starts to feel less like loss and more like a path to freedom and growth. And when your choice is clear and repeated daily, it becomes part of who you are. And your goal moves closer each day. Chapter 6. The Secret. Sacrifice gives you freedom. When most people hear the word sacrifice, they immediately think of it as something negative, something painful that takes away their freedom. It feels like a punishment that forces you to live with less, to miss out on fun, or to make your life smaller. People imagine sacrifice as a cage that traps them, keeping them away from what they want. But the truth is quite the opposite. Real sacrifice, chosen wisely, doesn't take away your freedom. It creates it. Think about someone who chooses to wake up early every morning to exercise. At first, it definitely feels like losing freedom. Instead of staying in bed, they get up in the dark and sweat while others are still sleeping. Instead of enjoying those extra minutes of rest, they feel sore muscles and tiredness. But over time, something amazing starts to happen. Their body becomes stronger, they feel more energetic, and even simple daily tasks feel easier. Their mind becomes clearer, and they start the day with a sense of achievement. In the end, this sacrifice gives them freedom in ways they didn't expect. Freedom from constant tiredness, freedom from health problems, and freedom to move and live fully in their own body. Or imagine someone who chooses to sacrifice late-night parties and hours of watching TV so they can study and build new skills. At first, it feels like they're missing out. While their friends are out having fun, they're sitting at a desk, learning, practicing, and sometimes struggling. But as the months pass, they gain knowledge and experience that others don't have. They find themselves with better job offers, more career choices, and the confidence to take risks. Years later, they realize that the nights they sacrificed gave them something much bigger. The freedom to live life on their own terms, to choose where to work, and to feel proud of what they've built. This is the hidden truth of sacrifice. It feels hard now because you're trading immediate pleasure for long-term strength. At first, it seems like you're putting yourself in a smaller world by saying no to certain things. But each no you say today becomes a much bigger yes in the future. Yes to health, yes to confidence, yes to opportunity, and yes to freedom. Sacrifice is like planting a seed. You bury it in the ground, and for a while, it looks like you've lost it. But with time, patience, and care, it grows into something beautiful and strong. The temporary pain of giving up comfort or fun becomes a source of pride and power. You look back and see that what once felt like a cage actually built your wings. People often say, I want to do what I want whenever I want. But the truth is, without sacrifice, you often can't. You might want to travel, but without the sacrifice of saving money and working hard, you can't afford it. You might want to speak confidently, but without the sacrifice of practicing and facing mistakes, you stay silent. Real freedom is not the ability to avoid effort or pain. It is the ability to choose your own path and walk it with strength. So next time sacrifice feels unfair or heavy, remember this. You're not locking yourself up. You're setting yourself free. Sacrifice is not the end of freedom. It is the beginning of a deeper, stronger, and more meaningful freedom. The freedom to become who you truly want to be. Chapter 7. Stories of Those Who Chose. Sometimes it's easier to understand the power of sacrifice when you see it in real lives, in real people who decided to give up something now for something greater later. These stories aren't about superheroes or geniuses. They're about people who face the same fears, doubts, and temptations we all feel, and still chose to pick their damn sacrifice and live with it every single day. Let's start with Mia, a student from Texas who dreamed of becoming a doctor. Becoming a doctor isn't just about wearing a white coat and saving lives. It's a journey that demands years of hard work, discipline, and, above all, sacrifice. While many of her friends spent their weekends traveling, going to parties, and living in the moment, Mia spent countless nights in the library. She stayed up late reviewing notes, reading thick medical books, and preparing for exams that could decide her entire future. She sacrificed her weekends, sleep, and the comfort of having an easy life. There were times she felt tired, left out, and wondered if it was worth it. But she kept reminding herself why she started. Years later, Mia finally reached her goal. She became a respected doctor, someone who now helps thousands of patients every year. The life she lives today isn't a reward for luck. It's the result of every quiet evening she spent studying while others rested. Her sacrifice wasn't a punishment forced on her. It was the price she chose to pay for a dream she refused to give up. Now think about David. David's dream was simpler but deeply meaningful to him. He wanted to speak English fluently so he could live and work abroad, hoping for a better life and new opportunities. Like many people, he loved relaxing after work by watching movies and TV shows in his native language. It was comfortable and easy, something he looked forward to every day. But one day, David made a decision. He decided that every evening, instead of watching movies in his language, he would watch only English content, even if he didn't understand everything at first. At first, this choice felt strange and uncomfortable. Sometimes he got frustrated, missing the familiar feeling of understanding every word without effort. But slowly, things began to change. Words and phrases started to make sense, and he found himself thinking in English without trying. Over time, his confidence grew, and so did his skills. Years later, David moved to Canada, where he now works, lives, and builds the life he once only dreamed about. Just like Mia, David didn't get there because of luck or some secret trick. He made a choice, picked his sacrifice, and paid it every day, even when it felt hard. These stories remind us that success rarely happens by accident. Behind every strong speaker, skilled professional, or inspiring person, there is always a history of sacrifice. Evenings spent studying instead of relaxing, early mornings chosen over sleeping in, or moments of fear faced instead of avoided. Mia and David didn't have perfect lives or unlimited time and energy. What they had was a clear goal and the courage to pay its price one day at a time. They show us something important. You don't need to be special to succeed. You just need to be willing to trade short-term comfort for long-term strength. You have to choose your damn sacrifice, and then keep choosing it every day, until your dream is no longer just a dream, but the life you actually live. Chapter 8. Small sacrifices build big results. When we think about sacrifice, it's easy to imagine grand gestures, giving up everything at once, making huge changes overnight. But in reality, most of the sacrifices that lead to lasting success are small and simple. They don't happen all at once. Instead, they are small choices repeated every day, quietly building momentum toward a bigger goal. For example, imagine someone who decides to read just 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes might seem insignificant, maybe just enough time to read a few pages of a book or an article. But over the course of a year, Those tiny bits add up to more than 60 hours of reading. That's like going to a free seminar every weekend for a whole year. Those small moments of learning build knowledge, inspire new ideas, and sharpen the mind. The best part is that it doesn't feel overwhelming, because 10 minutes is easy to find in a busy day. Or think about money. Maybe you have a habit of buying a coffee every day. It's a small expense, but it adds up quickly. Skipping one coffee a day could save enough money to pay for an online course, a useful book, or even tools that help you improve your skills. This small sacrifice doesn't feel like much in the moment, but over time, it creates a chance for growth that wouldn't exist otherwise. Even something as simple as saying no to 1 hour of scrolling through social media or watching TV can become a powerful sacrifice. Instead of losing that hour to distraction, you use it to practice a skill, study, exercise, or work on a project. The results might not be immediate, but when repeated day after day, that hour becomes the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. The power of small sacrifices is that they are easier to keep. It's difficult to commit to a huge change all at once because it feels too hard and too scary. But small changes feel manageable. When you make a small sacrifice every day, it becomes a habit. That habit builds consistency, and consistency is what creates results. Over months and years, these small sacrifices pile up like bricks building a strong foundation. What once seemed like tiny, unimportant choices create a life that looks very different from the one you had before. The small daily sacrifices shape your skills, your confidence, and your future opportunities. That's why it's important to ask yourself every day, what small comfort can I give up today to move closer to my goal? It might be 10 minutes less of watching TV, a few less snacks, or waking up a little earlier. These little sacrifices might not feel like a big deal when you make them, but together, they create a powerful force that moves you closer to what you want. Small sacrifices don't require you to give up everything. They ask only for a tiny bit of your time, energy, or money. But if you do them with purpose and repeat them regularly, they will change your life more than you can imagine. The key is to start now. Because every day you wait is a day you miss the chance to build something great. One small sacrifice at a time. Chapter 9. How to Stay Motivated. Sacrifice is never easy. Whether you're waking up early to study, giving up late-night fun, or spending money on learning instead of spending it on luxuries, sacrifice can feel heavy and tiring. When the initial excitement wears off, motivation can fade. That's when many people give up, forgetting why they started in the first place. But lasting success comes not just from motivation, which comes and goes like the weather, but from commitment. The deeper reason that keeps you moving even when motivation is low. Here are some ways to help you stay motivated and committed to your sacrifice. First, visualize the reward. This means imagining yourself having already achieved your goal. See yourself speaking English confidently in front of others, finishing that book you always wanted to write, or running the business you dreamed of. Visualizing the reward is powerful because it makes your goal feel real and worth fighting for. When you picture the positive feelings of success, it gives you energy to keep going. Every day, take a moment to close your eyes and imagine what your life will look like after your sacrifice pays off. This simple mental exercise can refresh your mind and strengthen your focus. Second, track your progress. It's easy to feel like your sacrifice isn't making a difference, especially when the results are slow. That's why keeping track of small wins matters. Whether it's a page written, a new word learned, or a day you followed your routine perfectly, write it down or mark it on a calendar. Seeing progress, no matter how small, helps your brain realize that your efforts are working. It creates a positive feedback loop that fuels your motivation and makes the hard work feel worthwhile. Third, find a community. Sacrifice can feel lonely, especially when friends and family don't understand why you're giving something up. But when you join a group of people with similar goals and sacrifices, you create support and encouragement. Sharing your journey with others who understand your challenges helps you feel less alone. You can celebrate wins together, encourage each other through tough days, and learn new ways to stay strong. Whether it's an online group, a class, or friends who share your goal, being part of a community can make sacrifice easier to bear. Fourth, remember you chose this. When sacrifice feels hard and you want to quit, remind yourself that this is your decision. You chose to pay this price because your goal matters to you. Changing the way you think about sacrifice from something forced on you to something you are consciously choosing gives you power. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you become the captain of your own ship. Say to yourself, "This is my choice," and feel the strength that comes from owning your decision. Finally, understand that motivation fades, but commitment lasts. Motivation is like a spark, bright but short-lived. Commitment is like a flame, steady and strong. When motivation disappears, your commitment will keep you going if you remember why you started. Write down your reasons for sacrificing. Return to them often. Let your why be the foundation that holds you up when the going gets tough. Sacrifice is never easy, but with the right mindset and habits, you can keep moving forward even on the hardest days. Visualize your success, track your wins, find support, own your choice, and hold on to your commitment. These steps help you turn sacrifice from a burden into a path toward your dreams. A path you can walk with confidence every single day. Chapter 10. You already sacrificed something. If you pause for a moment and look closely at your life right now, you'll realize something important. You're already making sacrifices, even if you don't realize it. Every day, every decision involves giving up something in exchange for something else. The difference is that many of these sacrifices happen without your conscious choice. You don't decide them with a clear mind and a strong heart. Instead, they happen quietly, without your permission, and often work against your dreams. For example, when you say yes to laziness, you sacrifice growth. It might feel comfortable in the moment to skip that workout, avoid studying, or put off working on your dream project. But what you lose is something much bigger. The chance to improve, to become stronger, and to get closer to your goals. Laziness is a sacrifice, but it's a sacrifice you didn't plan or want. It just happened because you didn't say no to it. When you say yes to fear, you sacrifice opportunity. Fear keeps you stuck in your comfort zone, making you avoid challenges and risks. Maybe you fear failing, being judged, or making mistakes. But every time fear wins, it takes away your chance to learn something new, to meet new people, or to experience life more fully. Fear is a sacrifice that costs you your potential. It steals your future chances, but you often don't see it as a sacrifice because it feels like protection. When you say yes to comfort, you sacrifice strength. Comfort feels good. It's easy to stay where things are familiar and safe. But growth never happens in comfort zones. Strength, whether physical, mental, or emotional, is built in discomfort. Every time you choose comfort over effort, you trade your future power for short-term ease. Comfort is also a sacrifice, but it's one many people accept without realizing the cost. The key difference is that these sacrifices, laziness, fear, comfort, are not conscious choices. They are sacrifices that life takes from you without your agreement. You might feel like you are living your life, but in reality, these unconscious sacrifices are shaping your future, often in ways you don't want. But here's the powerful truth. You can flip this script. You can stop letting life choose your sacrifices for you. You can take back control and pick your damn sacrifice consciously. Instead of sacrificing your future to laziness, fear, or comfort, you can decide to sacrifice those things instead. You can choose to say no to laziness by making time for action every day. You can say no to fear by facing your challenges and learning from mistakes. You can say no to comfort by pushing yourself to grow and become stronger. Choosing your sacrifice means taking responsibility for your life. It means deciding what matters enough for you to give something up. It means accepting that sacrifice is part of the process, but you get to choose which sacrifices help you and which ones hold you back. You are already sacrificing something. The question is, will you keep giving up your future without meaning to? Or will you become the one who decides, who chooses, and who builds a life worth the sacrifice? The choice is yours. And once you understand this, you step into real power. Pick your damn sacrifice and start living with purpose. Final thoughts. Make your choice today. Here's the truth that nobody likes to say out loud. You can't have everything. Life doesn't work that way. If you want to be strong, successful, confident, or free, you will have to pay a price. The good news is that price is not a punishment. It's an investment in your future. You get to decide what that price looks like. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is your willingness to make a choice and accept the sacrifice it requires. Don't fear sacrifice, fear regret. Regret is a heavy burden that drags on your heart and mind for years, maybe even your whole life. Regret never gives you anything back. It only reminds you of what you lost because you were afraid to pay the price when you had the chance. On the other hand, sacrifice may feel hard or uncomfortable at first, but it builds strength, freedom, and confidence. It moves you forward, step by step, closer to the life you truly want. So today, take a moment and ask yourself two simple but powerful questions. What do I truly want? And what am I ready to give up to get it? Don't just think about it quietly. Write down your answers. Say them out loud to yourself. Let those answers become your daily guide. Every time you feel tired or ready to quit, come back to your reasons. Let them remind you why you chose this path, why you're willing to sacrifice. At this point, it's important to remember that winners and dreamers both pay a price. The difference is when and how they pay it. Dreamers wait and hope things will happen without effort. But life doesn't work like that. Dreamers pay later, with regret and missed chances. Winners pay in advance. They decide early what they will sacrifice and do it proudly. They accept the hard work and discomfort today so they can enjoy freedom and success tomorrow. If you've been watching and learning from this video, remember these words from your friends at English Achieve. The power to change your life is in your hands. You can't control everything, but you can control what you choose to give up. You can pick your damn sacrifice and own it. That choice will set you on a bold path toward the life you want. A life you create on purpose, not one that happens to you by accident. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you see sacrifice in a new way, please share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Keep growing, keep choosing, and keep moving forward with us at English Achieve. Your sacrifice today is the foundation of your freedom tomorrow. Make the choice and step into the life you deserve.